Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 2019 Run for Fun event. My name is Sean Conahay, and I'll be your narrator during this video. And we are at the North Penn O Gaugers layout in this video. I've had many people want me to take long shots of the entire layout, but unless you visit this layout in person, that's pretty much impossible because the trains run throughout an entire basement. And here in this section, there's a loop that goes around this passenger station. The loop goes through that tunnel right there into a staging area where you can put trains and to run them out. This building right here features a smoke unit and moving components. You can't really enjoy the moving components unless you're looking at this thing in person. As you can see, I'm working the smoke unit, and it looks just like a real factory. You can see a blinking light, but there's actually a wheel inside of this thing that moves, and it's pretty neat. I try to focus on details while I'm visiting this layout. You'll see me pan in, but it's almost impossible to catch certain details with a camera or a video camcorder. So when they hold this open house event, you should really attend in person, and you can appreciate the details a lot more in this layout. And here we have these open type of auto carriers. Those are all actually scratch built cars that were done by one of the members, and they actually used them in the early 70s and prior. And here we have you get a feel of the backdrops being used, a highway that's going through a city. There are some really neat details and ideas you can get from visiting this layout. Here's a scene I like right here. And then this lumber yard was wonderfully done. All the little details, and that's what this layout is all about. You can see there's a ton of details and probably things that the camera is actually missing that people can't see, but there's a ton of figures, and I just can't imagine the amount of time that was spent in detailing this. It must have taken a very long time. And you can see the tanks and propane tanks and drums, and there is that tunnel. The train comes through that tunnel once it leaves the staging area in the loop, and there's an MTH granary. And we just keep moving along the back wall here, which is the long stretch of the layout, the long straight stretch. And a lot of these buildings are scratch built, even though that last one was MTH. But there you'll find a lot of scratch built buildings or kits. And this building right here particularly interested me because I want to have a dealership myself on Conahay Rail. So I'll probably be picking up an Atlas O dealership kit and building one and using that particular building as a model. A lot of my ideas I spun off of what I've seen during my visit here or to train shows and seeing what other clubs done. And you can see the amount of die-cast cars being used in trucks, and they're all different eras. And I love these crossings right here. This is one of my favorite video spots, is that crossing. And not far from it, and you might recognize a couple of these buildings are actually modeled after real buildings. And you can see the station here is full of people waiting for the passenger trains to come through. And you can see there's 50 types of cars parked Um, and like I said, I'm going to pan around at this moment so you can see the amount of space I've already covered. So if we continue to tour the layout, this back stretch is 55 foot long, so it gives you an idea how big this layout is. And this particular area is the locomotive house, the transfer table. This was all previously under construction last year when I visited, but they made a lot of great progress of the locomotive yard. And there is a TW Trainworks engine house that they detailed and built, and this really came out really nice. And then I pan around so you can see where I've been in relation to where I'm heading, and you can understand why now that it's impossible to get everything all in one video shot. And then we're going to focus back on this TW Trainworks building here. So now we are inside the TW Trainworks building. As you can see, it represents a typical locomotive maintenance shop. And sorry for the shaky video, but it's kind of hard to hold the camcorder near the door of this building without touching anything. But you can see all the fine details, and once again, that's what makes this layout is the details. You can see the people and the wheels and everything that would be in a typical shop like this. So once again, we continue to tour around this layout, and I'm panning around so you can see what's ahead. And here is a yard where car maintenance is done, and you can see a lot of parts that have been taken off the cars. And then there is a roundhouse, so we can see where old steam locomotive parts were replaced. And then there's steam locomotives parked at this roundhouse. And there's once again there's really a lot of nice detail work that's done, which would be more appreciated in person, I believe, rather than in video. The video only gives you a certain level. The detail has been done, but to see it in person is a lot better. So I would suggest, when the North Penn O Gaugers have the Run for Fun event, that you attend, even if you're not running anything, just come to visit the layout itself, just to see the level of details. And we continue to pan around here, and that back hill goes to an upper level loop, which we'll cover here in a moment. But you can see that against that backdrop, there it goes through a tunnel and then goes into an upper level. And then we move on to a mining scene. In this section here, it's all a mining area. Once again, the level of detail as far as the mine is concerned is really great. It gives you a sense of that era where it's actually being coal being mined. And then the trains go underneath that bridge, and that area is the upper level. And then we pan around so you can see where I've been once again. It's just, like I said, I know I'm repeating myself, but it's impossible to get everything in one complete photo shot of the entire layout. You would have to probably take, an overview of that, and even still, that would be an impossibility. And you can see there's lighting and signals. The signals all work on this layout, by the way. They all accurately work as the trains go through. They actually change colors and stuff. And here's the upper level loop. There's an MTH firehouse right there. That does work. The fire truck comes out and blasts its horn and sirens, and the lights are flashing. You see a lot more detail going on up here. And once again, this is the upper level. The train goes up an incline to get to this level uh, for this particular loop. And then you have a smaller passenger station there. And then the buildings in this area are so nice. The details, the lights, they really these buildings really pop on here, and they look even better when the lights are out. And once again, you get an overview of this upper level, the trees, and there's the famous North Penn O Gaugers big tree. That tree is actually to scale, by the way, and they're proud that of that fact that they were actually had this big scale tree. And that's a favorite scene of mine right there. My grandfather actually raced stock cars, so I might want to one day model that, and I do have pictures of it. And there's your Dairy Queen. And once again, I pan around so you can see, you know, how much uh, area I covered already. And it just gives you a sense of how big this layout really is. And there's your upper level. And we pan back around to where we once were. Like I said, this from end to end, that long stretch there is 55 foot. That stretch right there, all the way down is 55 foot. This was part of the North Penn models, but they retired it from the shows because they said it's pretty heavy, so now it's part of the permanent layout. But even this part of it's well detailed. Now we come on the back side of the roundhouse and give you an overview of what the back side of the roundhouse area looks like. This is when you first get into this area or walk in. So now we go back to the beginning again because I felt as though I didn't get enough shots of the beginning of this layout. But there's your passenger station that comes out of the loop of this staging area, and then the factory. And then I'm going to pan around so I can show you what this layout actually looks like on this end, or give you an idea of how big this is. So here I am, I'm panning now in this section of the layout, which I already covered previously, but I want to pan around and show you guys how big this layout is and why you can't get everything all in one shot. It's impossible. And there is 55 foot length right there. So now I get a more in-depth look of behind the highway area, and we're going to take a closer look at these custom-built open car carriers here. And these were actually used in, I believe, from the early 70s and prior. I'm not exactly sure, but the, the detailing on those cars came out pretty nice as well. Here's a closer look of the highway and the vehicles in detail on the highway itself. Here's a couple things that I actually missed on the lumberyard scene. We're going to actually take another closer look at this passenger station area scene. I, I thought that I didn't cover it that well, but I'm going to take a closer, in-depth look of the station area, and you can see me focusing in on the individual figures that were put on this particular station scene, and get a better idea of the other buildings as well, as far as close-up details. Now we're going to do a pan around from the upper level. I'm going to go ahead and pan around the North Penn O Gaugers layout here from the mining scene that I showed you prior. There's your TW Trainworks maintenance locomotive shed. There's your roundhouse in the background, and we pan around to this area here. So we're going to take one more look at the roundhouse area and the car maintenance shop area with all the level details and the parts that are covering these areas. It gives you a sense that actual repairs are made or been made to rail cars and steam locomotives.
Right?
Thanks for watching another Dakman Productions video, and thanks for watching the Run for Fun videos. The Run for Fun event is hosted by the North Penn O Gaugers, sponsored by Henning's Trains and Train Pops Attic. Thanks for watching. Bye.